My name is Chloe Vance, or rather, for 3 weeks, that was my name to Julian Thorne, the frantic, 28-year-old manager of the Gilded Plate. Julian ran this three-star high-rise cathedral of cuisine with an aggressive obsession with speed and turnover. He believed success was measured by how quickly a table was flipped. I, however, moved through his chaos with a deliberate, almost stately lack of urgency that drove him to the brink. I was the singular, deliberate flaw in his operation. My persona, Chloe, the nervous intern, was a meticulous disguise. Thick, black-rimmed glasses dimmed my sharp gaze, and my slow pace was, in fact, precise intention. I am, in reality, Cecilia Vance, the anonymous principal food critic for the Metropolitan Quarterly. My reputation is built on exposing systemic failure. I suspected the Gilded Plate's perfection was an illusion, built on fear and unsustainable pressure. My deep cover mission was to see if the management valued the profound, personalized guest experience promised by their astronomical prices, or just the raw cash transaction. For 3 weeks, Julian tolerated my supposed incompetence. He saw me spend 30 seconds centering a bread plate. I saw it as proactive service design. I was the slowest element in his equation, creating the friction point that exposed the system's true fragility. My section, though slower to start, ran with 100% accuracy. The cost of others' speed was chaos. The benefit of my slowness was tranquility. This Saturday was the culmination. The restaurant was catastrophically slammed. A large party arrived early, colliding with late theatergoers. The kitchen ticket tape was a screaming white ribbon of impossible orders. Julian, having overbooked, had lost all control. The air was thick with the acidic smell of anxiety. He, hoping I would crack, assigned me table 16, a particularly difficult foretop of demanding financiers. The chaos was pervasive. Marcus, the speed king, trying to turn a table in 45 minutes, double-fired the main course and forgot the appetizer. The new girl Sarah, visibly trembling, collided with the sommelier after Julian shouted into his headset, causing the catastrophic crash of a tray of rare Rydell glassware. The staff was panicking. Julian was obsessed with the floor plan, unable to see the individual human failures unfolding. Amidst this collapse, I performed my final tasks. My section, tables 4, 8, 12, and 16, remained islands of serene satisfaction. Julian finally tracked me down, near the restrooms, his face flushed purple with professional panic. "Chloe," he hissed, yanking me aside. "Table 4 is waiting for their check. 5 minutes. Table 12's entree is already cold, and you're polishing silverware. You're costing us covers. Where is your sense of urgency? We are drowning." I held my ground, meeting his frantic gaze with my characteristic blankness. "The guests at table 4, I replied softly, forcing him to strain to hear, "were enjoying their late harvest sauterne. Rushing them would violate the fundamental principle of fine dining. The pace belongs to the guest, not the house. They will tip 25% because they feel respected, not rushed. And table 12's timing issue is a system failure, Marcus's double firing, not my service flaw. Furthermore, I just used the reflection of this silver to see table 16 is signaling for water. I'll get that now. You're the slowest server I have ever hired. You move like you're wading through cement. You are a liability. Clock out now. You're done. I need professionals, not philosophers, not this pathetic dithering performance." Julian spat out the last word, his anger a total, humiliating loss of control. He thought he was eliminating a liability. He was signing his professional death warrant and handing me the final, most damning piece of evidence, that he would discard excellence the moment it challenged his flawed, high-volume model. "I understand," I said, my voice gaining a new, strange clarity. The test was definitively over. I walked to the coat rack, neatly folded the crisp black apron over my arm, and turned back to Julian. I reached up and slowly, deliberately, removed the thick black glasses. The transformation was absolute. The timid, clumsy persona was annihilated. My eyes, sharp, intelligent, and a startling shade of green, snapped into focus, commanding and unwavering. I stood taller, radiating an aura of severe professional authority that eclipsed his cheap suit and panicked expression. The nearest staff members ceased their movements, sensing a gravitational shift. Julian froze. "What are you doing? I told you to leave," he demanded, his voice weak. "I was conducting an evaluation, Julian," I said, my gaze sweeping across the chaos. "And I'm afraid the Gilded Plate failed. Not the cuisine, but its command." I reached into the pocket of my folded apron and pulled out a small, metallic card, embossed with the imposing griffin seal of the Metropolitan Quarterly. I placed it directly into his shaking hand. Julian looked down. Engraved on the card were 2 words, Cecilia Vance. Julian gasped, a raw, strangled sound, the color draining entirely from his face. A low murmur of awe and dread spread among the surrounding staff. The critic? But why were you so slow? What did you want?" "The one and only," I confirmed, my voice now resonant and authoritative. And my slowness was not incompetence. It was a calculated test of professional consistency and character under pressure. I didn't test your systems at their best. I tested them at their absolute worst. I leaned in, my voice dropping to a cool, devastating whisper, listing his failures with forensic precision. Your singular focus on speed caused Marcus to double-fire courses. Your failure to address Sarah's fear led directly to the glassware accident. You, Julian, with your obsession over turnover, are the epicenter of this systemic chaos and the source of the failure. I stepped back. My methodology, which you saw as wading through cement, was the only thing that worked. I ensured my orders were perfectly spaced. Acting as a buffer, I even took the time to notice and clean the spilled water from the aisle that you missed in your blind panic, preventing a catastrophic slip. I gestured to table 16, the difficult financiers. They will leave tonight with a compliment to the slow waitress, because their experience was timed to their conversation, and they never once felt the crush of your failing system. That is what true luxury is, the art of seeming effortless, professional, and composed, even when the world is ending. You failed my test, Julian. You saw the only employee providing perfect service, operating with control, and you chose to humiliate and dismiss her for failing to panic at your required rate. You chose fear over professionalism. Your own short temper and lack of support lost you a 5-star rating and, quite possibly, your entire career trajectory. The luxury you promise is a facade. I straightened my shoulders. Before stepping out onto the observation deck, I paused and delivered the final verdict, ensuring the staff could hear. The service was slow, Julian, but the exposé will be fast. You were judged on your character, your composure, and your adherence to the principles of true hospitality, and you were found profoundly wanting,